What things, though, when you're looking in Thailand, would you maybe not have that you might have, say, in the U.S. or somewhere else like Europe? Or...
Hello, my name is Alice from Indigo Mychiangmaihome Real Estate. I'm a real estate agency in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And in this video, I talk to Kendall from the YouTube channel The Narrow Gate and answer some of her questions about renting a house in Thailand. Some of the questions include, what are things that are different from houses in Thailand compared to houses in the US or Western countries? What are some of the normal deposit and lease terms? What are the pros and cons of living in a muban or subdivision or housing estate? And what are the expenses other than rental that you might expect? In the full video on Kendall's channel, The Narrow Gate, there's the full chat or interview there. So if you like to have, get more information or listen to more of it, please feel free to head over there to have a look.
What things, though, when you're looking in Thailand, would you maybe not have that you might have, say, in the U.S. or somewhere else like Europe? Or...
Okay. Well, quite a few things actually. So first thing I can think of is an oven. It's not so common here. I mean, it's becoming more common now, but a lot of houses won't have an oven, for example.
Right.
Yeah. We often have customers asking for ovens too, but sometimes they have it and they don't use it because it's so hot in Thailand.
I understand that.
But it's nice to have. Yeah.
Right.
Also, hot water heating is a bit different than Western countries.
Okay.
So we have like individual hot water heaters normally in different rooms. So you have one in the bathroom, for example. Yeah, and usually you won't get hot water in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah, unless you go rent a home from a Westerner, for example, someone from America or from Europe, because they always like to have hot water.
Yeah.
So they might install hot water heater in the kitchen for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's also not very common. Dishwashers are not common here either.
Right.
Yeah.
What about like washing machines and dryers?
Washing machines, most houses will have washing machines, but dryers usually no. But now they're becoming more common actually.
Okay.
So very handy in rainy season.
Yeah, we ended up buying a dryer.
Yeah.
It's very nice to have.
And also not very expensive now
No,
too.
it wasn't.
Yeah, so it's good to have when you move somewhere, you can take it with you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, what else is there?
So when you're going to rent like a condo or a house, what's the typical security deposit and how does that work when you get ready to sign the lease and say, I want to rent here? How does all that work?
Well, normally you put down 2 months deposit and 1 month rent in advance to rent a house.
So when you're ready to rent, you really need to have 3 months ready to go at that point when you're signing the lease.
Yeah, that's right. And the security deposit you get back at the end of the contract. Anyway, of course, if you didn't do any damage.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
to the house.
Now, would they have to? I know in the U.S. they would have to itemize what the damage was. Do they do that here, or do they just kind of like, oh well, you're only getting half of it back, but don't really tell you why?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, but usually things can be talked over anyway. Yeah, we haven't had really many issues regarding returning deposits. So basically at the end of the contract, and then we just go to the house and check everything. If everything is in order and all the bills are paid, then usually within 30 days or even before, then you get the money back.
About 30 days. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But if there's any deductions, the owner will tell you, how much and what are they deducting it for.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of lease terms are usually available when you're going to rent? Is it, can you pretty much pick how long you want to rent it for, or is there like a standard rental term?
Normally it's like 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
For houses and condos, sometimes you can ask for less, but you have to talk to the owner and see if they're willing to do that.
Now, do they usually charge more if you want, like say if you do a year lease, you might get this price, but if you only want 6 months, it's going to be a little bit more expensive?
Yeah. Usually the prices on the websites are for one year contracts. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, sometimes they might give you the same price for 6 months, sometimes not. So it depends on negotiations.
Okay.
Really, yeah. But usually it's a bit more.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, I know that in a lot of areas of Chiang Mai, they have what's called mubans, which are similar, like in the U.S., we would call them subdivisions. Now, what are some of the pros and cons of living in a muban subdivision versus just living you know, like around here right off the street? What's some of the pros and cons?
Yeah,
you'd
in a
say?
muban you usually have security.
Okay.
But not all mubans have security, but most of the time they do.
So like a gate you go up
Okay,
to and you have
yeah.
to show that you live there, or
Yeah.
you
So
know, I'm
gated-
visiting so and so.
Yeah, gated community. So they're good in the sense of you have added security. I mean, Chiang Mai is generally safe anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like we've had customers who are like families, and the husband might work overseas, and the wife and the children would stay home by themselves a lot of the time. So a lot of times they prefer to live in a muban with security, so the husband won't have to worry too much.
true.
Yeah, usually security guards are very helpful. Sometimes if you need extra help, or if you have a snake in the garden, can call them and they'll come and help you.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I would want to have to deal with the snake myself.
Yeah, or scorpions maybe.
Oh yeah, and we do have some of those.
Yeah, so so they're helpful. Like sometimes, like where I live, we didn't have a carport at the time, and when we hang out our clothes outside, and sometimes when it's about to rain, we call the security and they'll put it inside for us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, or sometimes people ask them to go buy milk and things like that to pay bills for them. I mean, that's a bit, kind of extra, and probably need to give a bit of tip for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you need something help at night, for example, the security, so they can usually help you.
That's really
Yeah,
nice.
which is really good. And often mubans have facilities like pool and gym.
Okay.
So you don't have to go out, far to those
Right.
places. And it's good for children too, because they'll have like friends, a lot of neighbors, where children can play around with other friends and neighbors, go
That's
to the
nice.
pool and things like that, ride their bikes after school.
That
Because
is
the roads are, well, in the muban would be safer than out on the regular street. Yeah,
Right.
not so many cars.
And
Yeah.
also, I know out on the regular streets, like around where we live, there's a lot of soy dogs, which means street dogs. Now, in the mubans, do they not have the street dogs?
Generally,
usually.
no. But I mean, I think some probably do, but most of the time, no.
No.
And a lot of times they have rules as well. So you have to, when you take your dog for a walk, you need to have them on a leash, for
That's
example.
good. That's really good.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of chose to live in a muban when I first came, because I did have a dog as well.
Yeah, we have 2 dogs, and my
So
one little dog doesn't like walking on the streets now because of the soy dog. She gets
Yeah,
scared.
exactly. So you have to pick it up.
Right.
So it's probably, if you have a dog, it's probably easier to live in a muban if you want to take them out for a walk.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cons would be, I guess, if you live in a muban with facilities, then there'll be charges involved with that. So there'll be like, you have muban fees.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's included in the rent, but other times it may be not. So it's best to talk to the agent and the landlord just to make sure what's
Okay.
included and what's not.
That's a good idea
Yeah.
to know what's covered in your lease. And
Yeah.
month, what are some other expenses that you might have related to your home that you would need to know about, that you need to see if your landlord's covering it or not? What kinds of things would those
Most
be?
of the time, like, of course, utilities, water, electricity is not included. You pay that
Okay.
yourselves. And also internet.
Internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to have extra TV subscription, for example.
Okay.
But most of the time now with internet services, it does include TV, certain amount of TV programs, usage kind of thing. So whatever it's called. Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
paying like the electric and water bill. I know I found that 7-Eleven comes in handy for that, because I can just take my bills there the next day after I get them and pay them.
Yep.
So we've kind of learned to do
With that too, because there's if you pay by the due date, yes, you can pay at 7-Eleven, but after the due date, you need to take it to the water company or the electric company
Oh, okay.
to pay.
Before they shut
Yeah.
off your power or water.
Yes. But it's pretty convenient, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they charge 10 baht or something, which is
Yeah.
less than, like 30 cents, less than that just to process it. So you can go in there and get your milk and bread and pay your utilities.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much for watching. To watch a full video and some other questions, please feel free to head over to Kendall's channel. I'll leave the link below for you. And if you have any more questions about renting a house in Thailand, please feel free to contact me or leave a comment below as well. And I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and take care and have a nice day. Bye bye.